What was that for? There's nobody in the Jeep, silly. Alright, so the Jeep is turned around so we can get a little better access here to the rear inner fenders. Never taken these out before, but I'm going to assume that it is very similar to how the front was. We have all these plastic clips and I don't see any bolts. So I'm thinking all we gotta do is just pop these clips out and yank the inner fender out. No more inner fender. Alright, I want to go do the other side. I got the passenger side inner fender out. Next, it's going to be just like the front fenders. There's this black piece and it has those little plastic welds all the way across the inside. Now, I didn't get new hardware for my rear fenders yet, so I'm going to attempt to keep the fender on and not damage the white clips for now. So this plastic clip, that doesn't hold the fender on, so that can get trashed. So we have to undo this and this, and there's another little plastic retainer back here. Kind of just got it. Once you get these two loose, you can wiggle it and break it. And then same for the rear. There's another plastic brace. So first step is getting those two out, and then once those are out, we can start. You can see from the rear here, it separates easy. So we're going to start, you can hear it kind of breaking those plastic welds. We're going to start from there and kind of bend it down and be very careful not to put stress on the plastic clips. One plastic brace. Alright, we got the two plastic braces out, front and rear. Now we're going to slowly, careful, and remove the whole inner black thing. Just like the front fender, you're going to have to cut these tabs that stick down on the edge. And I see the one in the rear is kind of hanging up. I'm going to see if I can cut that first. Give me just a little bit more room. Yes, that helped. Okay, so. Okay. You don't have to remove these to do the Motobilt inner fenders, but since we removed the front, I'm removing these just so it looks symmetrical. I don't know if I said that before. Yes! Here's all those plastic welds. So all that is just they heat up in those spots and go through and it just molds the plastic together. So there's that many that need to be broken. Like I was saying earlier, is just like the front, it has these tabs that come down that are ugly. So just like before, we're going to take our razor blade and we're going to work our way around it. Find it easy to use your thumb as a guide to push the blade through in your hand, and then kind of just rest it up at that same angle that the front was done at, and just kind of use your thumb, press up through. And that left a bit there, so we're going to come back, cut that more flush. There we go. All cleaned up. This is all the hardware that you'll get with the rear inner fenders. You have 12 Allen bolts and 6 nylon nuts that go with that. So that's the hardware that's left after you screw them all together. So they all come with pre-installed nutserts on this, what is it? It's a 1, 2, 3, 4-piece inner fender. So it comes with the nutserts already pre-installed. So I've loosely installed the pieces together. That way we can fit it into the wheel well and see what we have to do. I've never installed these before, so you're learning with me. The way it's looking, just by eyeballing it, we're going to be using this hole to bolt through, this one, and then I think these two back here is what I'm going to assume. Oh, let's put it up and we'll find out. It's not too hard once you get the to put it together. It's tight, so you got to kind of wiggle it around. Once you get it in there, you line these up. As you line them up, put them in. And now you have this hole back here. Can you see that? Yep, that one. And there's one over here that you might be able to see. That looks like what the nuts go on the back. It looks like it's going to be a pain in the butt. But I have some extra nutserts. Maybe I'll just put nutsert in those holes and call it a day. I like that idea. That way I'm not juggling nuts. Ha. Let's take this back out. I'm gonna see if I can nutsert those holes. Their holes are too small for the nutsert, so we have to drill them out to 5/16. All because my paint pen didn't come in yet. So much nicer. I had my body match paint pen. Touch these up. So just like any nutsert I put in, for extra assurance, I add this adhesive sealant clear RTV silicone. Like I said before, probably not necessary, but it's going to help keep the nutsert in place, and it's going to seal it from water and corrosion and stuff. Let's see if this works. Well, there's nutsert in that hole. These are 10/24 nutserts. So that's what Motobilt ships with. When I bought this tool, I got a bunch of extra packets. So I've just been using my spare 10/24. Yeah. 2 solid nutserts right there. I like that. I like that a lot. Much better than screwing a bolt. Let's try bolting the inner fender in. Solid. So I just went through and tightened up all the bolts that held all the 4-piece together. Remember, I put it in just loosely, that way it can adjust a little bit to get all the holes lined up. But if you have the extra 10/24 nutserts, I highly recommend just nutserting those holes. That was freaking simple, because it was just like anything else. I didn't have to use any extra tools, well, other than to put the nutsert in. But for installation, all I needed was my 1/8 Allen, and I can put the whole thing in and take it all out. So highly recommend getting some extra 10/24 nutserts and nutserting those holes. So I just got done doing the passenger side. I did the same thing as the driver and drilled out those holes and put nutserts in. The only difference is the location. So you'll see when you do it, but this one's further forward, that one's further back. But again, highly, highly, highly recommend putting nutserts in that because it was so easy to just screw everything together. Yeah, it takes, what, an extra 10, 15 minutes to do it correctly, but the ease of it, and to me it looks cleaner. Yep, definitely 10 out of 10 recommend. So that should be all the inner fenders. Let's pull this thing out of the garage and get a better look outside. Okay, just pulled it out of the garage. We have both the front and rear inner fenders on. Also removing the stock plastic trim that goes on the fenders. I don't have the front fenders mounted yet. We still have to do some more with that. But I really wanted to do a flex test just to see if before I couldn't do this without it rubbing the inner fender or hitting anything. So let's try to flex this thing out and see if we touch. I didn't hear anything touch. Alright. Oh, look, Luna. Hi, welcome. Looks pretty good there. So, here's our front inner fender with tire clearance. Got decent gap there. Looks like we're tucked pretty good. But there is about quarter to I'd say probably about a ½ inch. Same with the front. Plenty of clearance. Yeah. It looks pretty good. Inner fenders for the win. Nice. Now we just got to get rid of that ugly bumper, which, stay tuned for another video. Coming soon to a JL near you. Again, this Jeep has 37s and a 2.5 inch spacer lift. And I disconnected, with the Rubicon we have the electronic sway bar disconnect. So I disconnected the front before going, and our rear we never bolted our rear back on when we did the spacer lift. So currently flexed out like this, we have no sway bars connected. And it did just fine. Dig it.
Well guys, as you can see, it is that simple to install these rear Motobilt inner fenders. Also, as you can see, it is now winter time, not summer anymore, and it is 5 months after that last clip was shot. And a lot has happened between then and now. Within those 5 months, we got to go on our awesome cross-country road trip honeymoon. And with that being said, we definitely put these inner fenders to the test, and we have a little bit of wear and tear on them. So we wanted to close out this video by giving you guys a little bit of a product review on them and show y'all the current situation of these. They also got painted, so we do want to show you guys the paint job that we were talking about doing in the front inner fender video. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. So Cody just finished wiping these down because they were pretty dirty. But here you can see where we rubbed a little bit here in the rear wheel well on these inner fenders.
When I flexed it out on our stump, that's not to our full limit. As I said earlier in the video, that before when we had the factory inner fenders, I rubbed just flexing that stump. That's not the limit of our flex though. On our honeymoon, we found the limit of our flex, and as you can see, we made contact, both
in a few areas.
Yeah, just a few areas, and it's not enough contact that interferes with the function or damages the inner fenders. It's only enough just to rub off the paint, and we can fix that by adding more bump stop or adding a little bit more to our lift, which we're hoping to in the future here shortly. On this front inner fender, you can see not much, but we got a little bit of tire rubbed up in there.
This glare, what is going on with this glare?
And the paint, that Rust-Oleum paint is actually holding up pretty good. You can see in some areas, if you were to look up close, the camera's probably not going to pick it up, but some of the rocks that got thrown up in, we get some chips in the paint.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not horrible, but that's the whole benefit of using the Rust-Oleum spray paint, is we can pull them out in 5 minutes and touch it up with spray paint, and it looks good as new.
Yep.
And my trick I came up with, well, not trick, but your little
method,
my little mod of adding the nutserts to the back. No issues with at all with that. Hardware's, I've never had to go through and retighten any of the hardware, so it's holding up great. Once we painted these and put these in, we haven't touched them since. And it's been 5 months and lots and lots and lots and lots of miles.
Lots of miles.
Lots of miles. Overall, they held up great for the abuse that we put them through.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't be happier with them. They look good and they hold up. One issue that we did kind of find with the front inner fenders.
We're doing an overall product review of all the inner fenders.
So one issue is the bracket that goes from the inner fender that self-taps into the frame. That has the one bend on it kind of broke. Now, it could be from our tire getting up into it because we don't have enough bump stop. Could have just been maybe the part was a little weaker at that area, but we'll show you where it broke.
Didn't the same thing happen on Scotty's?
It did. So
yeah, on Scott's Jeep, Sting JL, same thing happened with his.
So we actually reached out to Motobilt and let them know of the issue we're having. So they're going to look into it and maybe redesign that bracket, maybe use a different material, or just get a different angle on the bend so it's not such a sharp angle that takes some brunt force. But
let's give you guys a little close-up so that you can see what we're talking about.
It broke right here. So it's that sharp, like 90-degree down. So I don't know if the tire got into it and forced this out, but honestly, this has been broken for probably about 2 months, and we haven't noticed any.
Yeah, it's not like affecting the Jeep or driving or.
Yeah, it's not rattling, it's not making any noise, and it hasn't affected the performance of the inner fender.
It's just there and just broken at that spot. It's not affecting anything, so
yeah, if you guys,
not a huge deal.
If you guys install
and
these,
knows about it.
Yes, they do. And if you guys install these and that happens, just know it's not just you, and we're working on getting a fix for it.
Yep. Of the Motobilt rear inner fender install, along with our product review for both the front and rear inner fenders. What else? We hope you guys enjoyed this super easy install. Don't forget to head to motobilt.com to grab these products. Stay tuned for our next video. We will be showing you guys the install of our front bumper, following along with
the winch installer.
Yes, we got a winch. And we used it on our trip.
We did.
So stay tuned to see that as well. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy seeing our videos. And we will keep pumping out more for you guys.
And if you have any questions regarding our install or anything about our review on these, just make sure to drop a comment.
Below. All right, guys, stay tuned. We'll be back soon. Thanks for watching the Altered Life. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye.